Hey, we're the Flick Chicks.
I'm Anne, and unfortunately, my other flick chick, Monica, is not here today. She's feeling under the weather. But fear not, I'm not alone today. I actually have two guests, my friends, Dom and Alex. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hey, I'm Dom.
Hi, I'm Alex.
Yes, and those are their credentials. No, I'm
That's all we
kidding.
got.
Sorry.
Yeah, pretty
hmm
much.
But all you need to know is that they're fans of Bridgerton. I can't even say it the way they say it. They're like
I
Bridgerton.
know.
That
You
whole
have to
thing.
roll your
I
R's.
know. I'm so excited to be reviewing and recapping this show with y'all. I think it's gonna be really fun. So we're just gonna tell you, audience, what you're in for. So we're gonna be going through the characters, couples, if you will, almost, because we've grouped them into sets because the show is of that nature. And we're going to be discussing what we thought about them, their plots, and everything, how we literally feel about them as people and stuff. And then after that, we'll go into what grade we give the series. Just give it a letter grade because this is the Flick Chicks and we're anal about grades. And that's just the way we are. So without further ado, we're just going to jump right into it. I think I'm excited. Are you guys excited?
I'm so excited.
Very. Yes.
Okay, so our first character is Benedict Bridgerton, who happens to be, I think he's the youngest or second youngest Bridgerton brother. Or is that Colin? Oh my gosh, I don't even remember that.
I think it goes Anthony, then Benedict,
Yes,
then Colin, and then the little
the
guy.
little boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're in alphabetical order by their birth,
Oh,
like their birth
yes.
order.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You're so right. There you go. So Benedict is the second oldest brother, but the least relevant character. So sorry to. So, what did you guys think about him in general? I wrote that the man got snubbed. He like, where was he? He was there for like comedic relief, if anything. At that, that's a stretch, I would say. Um, and I really thought he was going to be gay the whole time. I was waiting for it. It never came. But yeah.
I also had that feeling, and I agree with you in terms of him being snubbed
hmm
because I've kind of dissected this show already with all my friends and my sisters, and they actually, I mean, I don't really agree with this, but they think that Benedict is the more attractive
Oh.
Bridgerton brother, or the more, I guess, lends himself to being the romantic male lead. So I feel like people were really rooting for
Okay.
Benedict, and then he didn't get the story that most people anticipated. So yeah, I don't know. I thought his dynamic with Eloise was kind of fun and
Yeah.
charming.
hmm
Um, and then I cannot remember the name of the lady who owns the
Oh
modiste, but
yeah. That's who he ends up
that
with.
was interesting.
Yeah.
But because they kind of ignore him, and I'm a middle child, so I can say this stuff too. But since each season's going to be about a Bridgerton, I'm like, okay, what's Benedict's season going to be about then?
Right?
I don't know.
I don't know. He's with Genevieve. She owns the store. Yeah, that whole thing. I feel like that was just thrown into there too. I was like, I didn't need this. I don't know. I just felt no ways about them as a couple.
Yeah, I didn't hate Benedict. I agree with you, Alex. Like, I liked his dynamic with Eloise,
hmm
him and his sister. Like, the real chats they'd have over a cigarette in secret, night and dagger. Like, it was very, I don't know, very endearing to see. I will say, though, I did expect more, and I thought they would explore his sexuality a bit. I know it's
Yeah.
like the Regency era. I don't know what if he would have been like arrested in those times. Maybe he would have been, but I think that would have been interesting.
hmm
So, yeah.
No, I totally agree. I feel like they definitely could have heightened up his story. I feel like think the biggest difference between him and a few of the other at least you can compare him to his brothers. He didn't have like any real stakes, you know? Like even when he started parading around with Genevieve, it wasn't like no one's looking at him and being like, "Oh, you can't like date her because she's not like of our class." Like it almost feels like no one's paying attention to him. They don't really care what he does. And it's he's hiding what he's doing, but it's like it really seemed like nobody was concerned anyways. So I was like,
Yeah.
you could come out and do maybe not obviously you couldn't come out as gay, I'm saying come out with Genevieve. And no, it doesn't seem like anyone would have been concerned. So I felt like they really downplayed his story in general, like as a character. They really didn't do much with him. So yeah, I don't know.
He also gave me like older brother vibes, like in
Yeah.
the sense that he should have been the eldest, I almost want to say. Like he seemed much more mature than Anthony, in my opinion, and he gave me more of like the eldest brother vibe, but I guess he is middle child and I guess they forgot about him a little bit, so poor
Uh-huh.
guy.
They really did. Like, this man could come in middle of the night from his rakes club, or I don't even know what you would call what he was doing with like the
The
painter and the
orgy
painter's wife and
painting
stuff.
place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just no one would bat an eye, and
Hmm.
it was all chill. Um, but I don't know. I think his character has real potential to be interesting, and I don't know how closely um, the writers of Bridgerton plan to follow the Bridgerton series written by Julia Quinn,
Mm.
because I'm pretty sure that there aren't really any gay characters in her book.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, if we felt that vibe about Benedict, maybe that's a story that will evolve over like the next few
Hmm.
seasons. But I'm also, I don't know, I'm a little bit skeptical if that will actually happen. That's kind of one of my fears about Bridgerton is I love the first season so
Yeah.
much. And even though like every sibling got a little bit of their own
Hmm.
storyline, Daphne and Simon's was so strong, so other characters like Benedict and like Eloise kind of fall through the cracks a little
Yeah.
bit. So then you kind of worry about if they're going to be able to, I guess, hold their own for their
Their own
individual
seasons.
season,
Yeah.
I guess.
No, it's definitely a thing that we have to think about. Let's actually move on to the probably the next Bridgerton who's gonna get the spotlight, which is controversial. It's Anthony Bridgerton. We're gonna be talking about him, and we're gonna be talking about Sienna Rosso, who was his love interest in the season. So, what did you guys think about Anthony?
So like
I feel like you're just waiting for us to say that we
he's just
hated
annoying.
him.
I found him
He,
so annoying.
Yes,
And also, did he give y'all like Hugh Jackman vibes, like with the sideburns?
yes, he did. He
Yeah.
did.
yes, I think so. And that was a personal choice of the actors. He
Oh,
asked to have the mutton chops, and he also grew out a mustache apparently. And they gave him the green light for that. And then when he showed up on like the first day of filming, they're like, okay, the mustache has to go, but you can keep your
that's
sideburns. So
hilarious. No, the sideburns I feel like are timely. Does that make sense? Like I feel like it does go with the times. I don't know. I guess when I think like old, like whatever. I don't even know how to say that. I was going to say to the time period that I'm not even aware of. But I just feel like I think of like eccentric facial hair and things like that. I feel like that was really spot on in that sense. But yeah, he did really give you Jackman vibes. Even the way he would walk sometimes was very like do 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 do.
Yeah, the
But
the sideburns are definitely in. His annoyingness was not. I
hmm
couldn't. I just he like screwed Daphne over like so many times in the early season. Also, I got this vibe he was into her. I know that's like wrong, but like he was so protective,
I
and
thought so too, Dom. I thought that was the whole
yeah,
thing. I thought that was the scandal. I was like, oh, he's into her. Like, you know?
just us shipping Antony with
And yeah.
everyone in the story. We're like, oh, does he secretly like
Yes.
Simon? Does he like
Oh my
Daphne? What
gosh.
is
I went
going
through a
on
roller
here?
coaster. At first, I was like, yo, he's got a thing for Daphne. I thought it was going to be some complex thing about how, like, he's just messing with Sienna, but, like, Daphne is the girl that he wants and needs type of vibe. Like, she's, like,
yeah,
a woman of high society, so she, like, fits everything. But, like, she's his sister, so he can't. And, back in the day, people were crusty sometimes, with their cousins and all.
Oh,
So I
for
really thought
sure.
that's where they were going, kind of Game of Thrones.
yeah.
But
And I don't think you're wrong for having that
right?
opinion even because like I think in the first
Mhm.
episode when Anthony's with Sienna, he's like talking about his sister and how she's a lady and she has to be like afforded certain opportunities. And like the whole implication is that Sienna is not a lady. So um, I don't think
That's
you're
what I
wrong.
yeah, so I was like, "Okay." And then it stopped like, when Violet stepped in and she's like, "Stop messing my daughter up." And he's like, "Okay." And then the whole Simon thing came in, and I was like, so now Anthony's in love with Simon? Like, that's what I thought. And I was wrong each time, but
Also,
it is
we
what it is.
can't forget that he like tried to set her up with Nigel. Like he
Ugh,
was trash. Oh
Oh my
god.
right?
God.
I didn't
Oh my gosh.
understand that at all. Also, were they okay? This is what I didn't understand for a second. There's a lot of at the beginning things that I thought they were insinuating that didn't end up like playing out. One, there was a scene where they zoomed in on Daphne's like while she was getting her dress fitted, and there was like scabs on her back, right? And I was like, is that from like tightening the corset too tight? Or is that from like some type of abuse? Because that's what I was thinking. Because the way that she kept running away from what's his face, Nigel, was like
Yeah.
on some predator vibes. Like as in like he had already, acted out of line. That's the impression I got. But it doesn't seem like that's the case. They didn't really like elaborate on that, so I have to assume that that's not what happened. That he's just gross and creepy. But he kept saying like, oh, like she didn't want to be alone in the room with him. Like that's how scared of him she was. So I felt like I was like, is there something here, like some history that I don't know about that we're supposed to like find out later? But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, even when you first like get introduced to Nigel, she like immediately wants to get away from him, and that's where I
Right.
thought, Anne, like I agree with you, Anne, where she was like, okay, she really wants to get away from this guy. Like, yeah, he's kind of gross, but like we don't really know what he's about. So it struck me as something like she's met him before, needs
Yeah.
to get away from him. So there could have been history of abuse potential.
Especially in those times, like I feel like it would make sense as to why she might not have disclosed that to somebody and she's just like scared.
Yeah.
But Anthony trying to set him, I just what in why is he so dumb?
Anthony basically being like, hey, I'll hang out with prostitutes. I'm going to sell my sister
Right?
to a
Oh my gosh.
Like, what?
I'm like, how do you go from picky to picking Nigel? Like, make that make sense. It was disgusting. I hated it.
Yeah, for
Also,
real.
I know. Can we talk about how poorly he treated Sienna as well?
Oh my goodness.
Like this poor girl.
I'll say this. The only time I was like, kind of sympathizing with Anthony ever, the only time, was when it was simultaneously, I was so happy she dumped him at the end. I was like, yes! But at the same time, I did actually kind of feel bad
Yeah.
for him because he had, to give him credit, he had taken the step of like, okay, I'm going to try to introduce you to people. But she ultimately did take the right decision because she's like, even though you're going to introduce me and parade me around, like you still need me to change and like I need to be with someone who, is good with me.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like too little too late, right? Like, I was kind of unsure about her relationship with that guy. But yeah, even if Anthony is like slowly evolving, it was just like,
No, yeah, their relationship was like toxic. It was weird. And I'm glad that she shut it down. I think it was the best for
yes,
her,
for sure.
honestly. And also it's Anthony. Ugh. Sorry.
Well, he's another one of those Bridgerton boys where I'm like,
Mhm.
we've gotten the green light for season 2. They've announced that it's going to be centered around Anthony. And I'm like, all right. Like, one of the tropes that I hate most is when we have, like, the man-child who's underdeveloped and, like, can't talk about his feelings. And I'm just wondering how he is gonna, I guess, like, hold up season 2. I'm like, I don't see it working. I'm hoping the writers are really creative. So, I don't know.
I think season 2 will be more determined by if we like his love interest. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Like, let's say his love interest, the love interest that they pick for him or whoever, is like a really entertaining girl or something. Then I think we'll be interested, we'll be hooked. But if it's like just some, like if she kind of falls flat, I think Anthony will equally fall flat at the same time. I definitely think they can't go with anyone who's not like strong and speaks her mind type of vibe. Like you can't have a demure, simple, like regal type of girl be the his, what is it, his opposite, I guess, because I feel like the season would just drag down like completely. I don't know. I feel like that would be
Yeah.
what they would need.
Watch them
somewhat.
like pair him with someone who's like it's like a chase for him, obviously, but then eventually he's like, it's just what I needed, like, this whole time. And she'll definitely be
Yeah.
high society material, I feel like, for sure.
Yeah.
I'd be curious too to see who he ends up with. And
I think they're gonna do lovers to haters. I would guess.
I
yeah.
hope so.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean haters to lovers. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna do that with him because he's already, like we said, he's not necessarily a likable character. So we definitely would need someone who also doesn't like him at his
Yeah.
beginning, and then he goes through some growth, and then we're like, okay, we're okay with him now. That type of vibe. I don't see any other way being like okay with me, if you ask me.
No, it's true.
Okay. Speaking of, no, I don't even have a transition for this one. Next couple, or next group of people, we're going to talk about Marina Thompson and Colin Bridgerton. Oh my